Hey folks, this is Best in Slot with some quick news for Prehistoric Planet Season 2. We've got 4 brand new screenshots, not of particularly new content, but they are in incredible high quality that shows off these creatures, shows off these species in much better definition than we've seen before. One of them in particular really warrants a good look and warrants maybe being a desktop wallpaper, so I'm going to link the original Twitter link that I got these from down below. Credit to Alice, i.e. Allosaurus JP on Twitter, for these links in the first place. Definitely go give them a follow. They're a really cool person to follow in terms of dino stuff and being a chill person. And yeah, I wasn't going to upload today. I'm working on tomorrow's video, but you know what? New screenshots, things to talk about. Let's dig in. Let's take a look at the first. And it's this one right here. It's our Pachycephalosaurus squaring up to each other. And this is what I mean by just saying you can really appreciate a little bit more of that detail we've got going on now. You can see the counter shading in the body, that sort of lighter lime green sort of colouring there, which is actually, it's quite a subtle counter shade, it must be said, compared to a lot of dinosaurs we see, and it even ascends, I should say, up there into the skull. You can see the way the skull curves inwards and then forms the beak at the end. We've got those bony nodules along the brow and along the just above the snout. You see that sort of cracking red detail in the crown there, in the dome. It's really cool to see Pachycephalosaurus. This is something we were lacking representation for, so very cool to see this come to life in Prehistoric Planet Season 2. Our second image shows us the Hatzegopteryx. They've been doing a mating call, a mating display. You'll note that this is an interesting detail, but the corpse on the ground isn't there. So the male has brought, male with his resplendent, colourful crest and bigger size, as you can see as well, brought a corpse. It looks like a Zalmoxis or something like that to impress the female. It's not there in the scene. I wonder if the female Hatze in this situation has consumed the corpse at the time. Either way, this just really shows off again those patterns, those beautiful textures, especially on the female's head there, and also the bizarre body shape that these creatures have. I mean, you look at the male, you look at his forelimbs, you look at his hind limbs, there's the word I was looking for, and it's an almost, you know, eldritch, bizarre creature. They're very, very, very strange. They really are, and they are fascinating, and I adore them deeply. I think this male Hatzegopteryx is definitely one of my favourite creatures in the show, because that crest in particular, it looks like a mini Hatzegopteryx in and of itself. It's stupendous. We also get a better look at our Tarchia. Tarchia has been in quite a lot of the promo material for the season, so it seems like it may well have a fairly big role. Of course, we did glimpse it during that Oasis scene back in Season 1, but now we know it's going to stack up against those little Pachycephalosaurids, scaring them away as they bother them during their little hike in the Badlands. And again, of course, there's lots of lovely little details here. You can see that slight sunburst splaying out kind of effect on the club itself. You can see, you know, it's got this banded kind of coloration splitting outwards. You see all those individual scales or nodules, whatever you want to call them, on the armor plating, and the way the plating drops into the body and kind of like melds with the body itself, which of course is, I'm not going to say new, but a relatively new idea when it comes to ankylosaurs in general, because they used to have that very jutting out separated armor like you'd see on a Jurassic Park Ankylosaurus, and now we know it's more like this, where it looks like it would drop into the body itself. And the armor plating that's very visible on the skull, that kind of like larger scaled bony nodule kind of stuff, has this really hard edging at the front, very like just above the snout. You can see this very hard edge, very strong edge, which makes it feel like an actual piece of armor, like a physical hench piece of armor draped over the skull. But this is the image to get hyped about, really. This final image is absolutely the hype image, because I mean, this one, all the others feel like screenshots. This does not feel like a screenshot. This feels like a piece of paleo art. This feels like a beautiful painting. It might well be. I don't know. I find it very hard to believe this is a screenshot. The water is just too beautifully done. I will say, actually, one of my criticisms of Season 1, the only real criticism I had visually was that the water effects were sometimes a little bit subpar. Underwater, they were fantastic, but the water effects on the surface, as creatures move to the surface, we saw it with the Turangisaurus in particular, didn't look fantastic. You could tell it was fake, basically, which is something this show is obviously trying to avoid. From the little we've seen of Season 2, it does appear to have stepped up in that regard. The water effects were much more impressive, in my opinion. I mean, I'm not going to say this is the example, but if this is real, it's remarkable. It's crazy. But this is our Mosasaurus returning. I made a slight mistake in a video the other day, saying it was Mosasaurus both times. We have a new Mosasaurid arriving, which we've talked about, but this is the Mosasaurus returning from Season 1. Huge creature leaping out of the water. similar to how a lot of modern creatures will hunt. You'll see sharks and similar creatures do stuff like this. Grabs an elasmosaurid between its jaws and then crashes back down to Earth. It is a majestic piece of paleo art. This is really the screenshot I wanted to show off, if I'm honest. It was all about this one right here. And again, we can see scarring across the stomach, across the underbelly there. You can see one just on the jaw as well, like on the underjaw to the left-hand side. And there's not much else to say about it. It's beautiful. I just wanted to show it off. So you can download all these. Like I say, I think this one would actually make a really cool desktop wallpaper. So I will link the original Twitter post below. I know this isn't much of anything, but they're cool screenshots. I'm trying to be a news source. Why not show things off, you know? I think that makes a lot of sense. And like I say, working on tomorrow's gameplay video for Evolution 2 as we begin our new park build. So I will see you lovely folks tomorrow for that. And yeah, I'll see you lovely folks very soon. Thank you so much for joining me. Remember to like, comment and subscribe for much more news on Prehistoric Planet Season 2 as it arrives. Full breakdowns of every single episode of the show on the day it airs as well. We're going to dedicate the whole week to Prehistoric Planet just like we did last time. Very excited. Thanks for joining me. Cheers much as always. Bye-bye.
Reaching out.